Hey guys, what's going on? Another Xbox video for you. This is for fixing the red ring of doom, as we would like to call it. So, I'm going to be recording me taking the Xbox apart, so I'm going to have a disassembly video along with this. And, so if you're watching this just for the disassembly of the Xbox 360, you'll be hearing me talking about the red ring and stuff. This is going to be an add-on to the red ring. This will also be in the red ring video, and I will also upload the disassembly part of this and also the reassembly part separately. But the red ring fix video will contain all this information. So let's turn this on here, and we're going to clearly see that this is going to have the 3 red rings right about now. There it is, the 3 flashing red lights. It's almost a total ring. So this is how we're going to fix the red ring of death. Now basically what we're going to be doing in this video is we're going to disassemble the Xbox 360 piece by piece. We're going to clean it up, take off the X clamps, take all the thermal compound off the processor chips and the heat sinks once we get it all apart. And we're going to heat treat the board, and I will show you how to do that with a heat gun. So we will need a heat gun for this. You can also use a hair dryer. It just may take a lot longer, and you may blow out your hair dryer, just saying. But if you want to take the risk of doing that, be my guest. I take no responsibility on further damage you do to your Xbox or voiding your warranty, so do this at your own risk. And yeah, so I'm just going to click this off, and let's head over to the bench. Alright, you can obviously see that I have this labeled red ring, so I'm just going to take this off real quick. Get out of here and place it over here. Okay, so I'm going to go over the few things that you're going to need. First thing, most important for this, is you're going to need a thermal compound. Now this is ceramic thermal compound. It's called Ceramic 2. It's made by the same company that makes Arctic Silver 5. This is a very good thermal compound. I prefer this over Arctic Silver, but Arctic Silver will work as well too. Another thing you're going to need is some kind of a pry tool. For the X clamps, I like to use a Phillips head screwdriver, something about this thick, maybe a little bit thinner, to get those X clamps off. Another thing that's very important in this is isopropyl alcohol. We're going to need this to clean off the processor chips, and if the thermal compound is too hard and you need something to eat away with it, I would recommend using some WD-40. Now be careful when you use WD-40, and I explain this because when you use WD-40, WD-40 is highly flammable, so you want to make sure that you don't have any WD-40 residue on the processors when you're done with this. One, because the thermal compound will not sit correctly on the chips, so when you're done using the WD to get the thermal compound off the processor chips and to put the new one on, wipe it down with isopropyl alcohol after you use the WD. Another thing you're going to need is some kind of container for your screws that we're going to be taking out, so you don't lose any of them, so I like to list that as an important thing. Another thing you're going to need is a T10 size Tork screwdriver, or a drill bit, whatever you prefer to use. This is a T10. You need a size T10 in order to take the Tork screws out of the Xbox. Also, you're going to need a Sharpie marker. If this is your first time taking apart an Xbox, I like to be sure to show you guys where to mark so you know where to put the screws back properly. You're going to need a real small flathead screwdriver. This flathead screwdriver is going to be used on the back of the Xbox when we take apart the shell casing. There's going to be little slots in the back that we need to pop open with this flathead screwdriver. And I apologize in advance if I missed any materials, and I will list them off as we go. Pretty much the only other things you're going to need is cotton balls or Q-tips, and yeah, so let's get started. Alright, so the first thing we're going to have to do is take off the front panel. So let's pop this front panel off, just like this. Alright, so the front panel's gone, and obviously you can see that this Xbox has never been opened before because the void seal is there, and this is a previous seal, actually. So I'm just gonna place this side panel over here to the side, and let's move on forward. Now before we can take the outer shell apart, we have to remove these side pieces. The top of the Xbox where the hard drive goes, and the bottom of the Xbox for whatever reason they put that there for decoration. So, alright, So here's the bottom piece right here, and this is the front of the Xbox here, and this is the back of the Xbox. Right here should be the power plug, and over here should be the USB ports. What I want you to do is I want you to take that small flathead screwdriver that I was telling you about. Right here, here's our small flathead screwdriver, and there are pins. Basically, we're going to pop this up like so. Take the screwdriver and pop it into these holes over here, and it should release the pin. Now we're going to flip this around to the other side. Oh, let me pop it back into place. Hold on one second. There we go. Alright, so that pin's popped out. Front pin there is popped out. Now you will see a triangle of 1, 2, 3 that are full. This is marking where the next pin is. So pop that pin out. Flip it around, do the same thing on this side. And be sure to pull up on it. And then in the back here, this last hole, I think, or is it this one? It's this one. Pull up on that. And the other one should probably just angle itself out. So that's that one. This is the bottom's out. Now let's flip over to the top. Alright, flipping over at the top here. And I just moved the camera because I hit the fucking thing with my face, but okay. Again, front of the Xbox, this is the disk drive, and over here, this is where the Ethernet and everything is. So again, pry up on the top. The first two should come out on their own. No problem, no resistance. The next one is around here. If I can fucking hit it. This is the only pain in the ass part. There it goes. Flip it around to the other side, do the same thing. Come on. There we go. Flip it over to the other side now and take out the other pin. Is it in the back? Have to get a better gist of this here. There we go. So right around here, flip it over to the other side. So this back side, and now this one is going to be tricky. Just pop that up like that, and there you go. The top hard drive case is off. Alright, so looking at the back end of the Xbox here, you can see the power port, and you can also see over here, this is the AV cable and the Ethernet. We're going to be popping this apart. So I recommend starting at this side first because it makes it a lot easier. So what we're going to do is simply, you have slots 1, 2 here, and then you have 5 on the other side. As you can see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Again, you will need this small flathead screwdriver for this, and simply just press in to the hole. So let me get over here and do this. Push in, and it will release. Push into that one, and it should release as well. And you want to kind of hold the first one open with your fingernail. Now the center, you may have to do this in the center, you may not, but this is just to get it apart and unclipped, and then move over to this section, or I can just drop the whole fucking Xbox. That's good too. Nice job, Rob. And do these 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and now the Xbox should just come apart. Okay, so now that we got that out, it's time to flip it over to the other side. Flipping it over to the other side, this is the easier side actually. You will see these flaps, 1, 2, 3, and 4. This is actually going to be a lot easier because you can use your fingernail for this. So grab hold of the memory port here and kind of lift it up and pull it down. Then do the same thing with the center one. And then the same thing with the third one. I don't want to drop the Xbox. There we go. And then this panel should just come right off. There it is. Alright, so here's the facing of the Xbox. So basically what we're going to do here is I'm going to show you what screws to remove, and we're going to disassemble this. So you're going to need your T10 Tork drive. right here. I got the T10 Torx screwdriver right here. And the first 6 screws that we're going to be removing are these. This one in the corner here, this one in the centerpiece, this corner, this corner, this corner, or not, that's not a corner, fuck. This centerpiece, and this side frame right here. Now this is what I'm going to show you to use your marker for, because this is why I want you to have a marker so you know where to put these back. So if you want to just mark these 6 or the other 9 that we will take out later, it doesn't really matter which ones as long as you know the difference between them. And the X-clamp ones are pretty obvious, so you don't need to mark those. But I just like marking these so we know where the long screws go in this case. And eventually over time you memorize it. So take out those 6 screws, and then after you take out the 6 screws, you're going to take out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Again, those are also T10 Torx screws. So altogether we're going to be taking out 12 screws total. And then after that, once you're done with that, we're going to remove the X-clamp screws, which there are 8 of these, and I believe they're T10. No, they're not. They're actually a size smaller. So I will be right back after I unscrew these 12 screws around the perimeter of the Xbox, and then I will tell you the size that you need for the X-clamp screws. So I'll be right back. Alright, so now all the screws are out, believe it or not, these, I have a special bit here. It's not a T10, it's like a T8. You're going to need that to take out the X-clamp screws, as well as this front panel, which has 3 screws in it, which we will get to later on how to get that off. But right now we just want to get this out of the frame. So basically, to get the whole frame off, the white frame, it'll only be these 6 screws. But in this case we're fixing a red ring and we need to heat treat the board, so we need to take out all of these screws in order to get the motherboard out. So take out these 8 X-clamp screws and I'll be right back. Alright, so now that you got the X-clamp screws out, it's time to flip the Xbox over. So let's flip this over like this. And the whole top panel should just come right on off. But first things first, you want to remove this little switch right here. So this will make life a lot easier. So just pop that switch off. This is for the eject and close on the disk drive. And then just slide the whole panel up. And there you go. You have opened the Xbox. Now that the Xbox has been opened, who the fuck was in this last? I'd really like to know. Anyways, the next thing that's going to have to come out is the disk drive. So remove the disk drive simply like this. Grab a hold of it from the front and the back, pull up on it, and kind of turn it to the side like this so you expose the power and the SATA. Pull up on the power and pull up on the SATA. And there you go, your disk drive is now removed. Now recommended, if you want to watch the tutorial, there will be a link. There will be a little annotation in the video, right probably where I'm pointing, where the disk drive was, for a sticky drive fix. If you care to do that while you have the Xbox apart, I do recommend it. It would be very wise for you to do that, so your drive doesn't get stuck, so you really actually never have to open your Xbox again to avoid problems. But yeah, so I will have the link right here, and we'll go from there. Now, this needs to come out. Just pop a flathead down in there and pull this on out. There it is. Pop this over here. Unplug the fans. There's 2 types of hookups for the fans. This is the basic 4-prong hookup. There's another one that's a 4-prong hookup, but it's a lip and tongue. So you're actually going to have to take a flathead and go in there and separate them, and then pull up. But this one, you just push a pin and pull up on it. Fairly simple. Now the last and final thing that needs to come off is this front panel. First thing what you're going to want to do is there's 3 screws. You will clearly see that there are 2 screws, one here and one here. What you're going to need to do is you're going to have to take the top of this off first and pop the bottom down, and you will reveal the 3rd screw on the bottom. There's a screw here, here, and here. You need to remove these 3 screws, and then this just pulls straight out and you put it aside. So let's go do that real quick. Again, you're going to need the T8 size screwdriver for this. So grab your T8 and let's do it. Alright, so once you've unscrewed those 3 screws, you can just simply take this, lift it up, grab the top and bottom and pull straight out. And it should just come out like that, and pop that over to the side so we don't lose it. And now it's time to remove the motherboard from the tray. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to lift up from the front. So lift the front up first and slide the back out, and then grab the motherboard, get that out the way. I'll take the casing here and I'll just pop the board down like that. And now we have removed the board from the Xbox casing. So now that we've done that, it's on to the next step, which is getting the X clamps off. Now I will have a video on X clamp removal, especially in case you need to know how to do it. It's fairly simple. So this is how we're going to do it, and I'm just going to zoom in a second here, and we're going to remove these X clamps. I will post this video separately up on YouTube if you care to look at it, or if you already know how to disassemble an Xbox and you just don't know how to get X clamps off, this is what this will be for. But let's go take the X clamps off. Okay, so I actually grabbed a screwdriver from an iPod repair kit, and I'm just going to stick it underneath here and pry up on the X clamps, just like that. Now be careful not to touch the motherboard because you don't want to scratch it. It is a multi-layer board and it is very sensitive. So you can see what I'm doing here. Simply just sticking it in and prying down, pulling the X clamp up out of place. Some of the X clamp keys may just fall right on out of place. Others you might have to work a little bit, but nonetheless we'll get them out. Now when you want to take them out, you want to go in from the sides. You don't want to go in from the front where you came from, because that'll just cause the screwdriver to slip and you may hit the board. So go from the sides where you have more tension and pull the X clamps out. So we're going to need to wedge this out of here a little bit. As you can see here, I'm doing some work with it. And there it goes. Ba-boom. It's off. Do the next one. And once you get 2 off, you can pretty much wiggle the other ones off. This board looks like it's fucking fried. I hope not. And again, do the same thing with the other ones. Once you get 2 off, it becomes fairly easy. So there you go. That's how you take the X clamps off. Now you should just lift up on the board, and the heat sinks will fall out of place. Flip the board over like this. And okay, here we go. And here's the heat sinks. I'm gonna put those over here. This heat sink is fucking broken. That's great. I've got to screw that back in. So get the heat sinks out of the way. Get the X clamps out of the way. And now it's time for the cleaning process. Okay, so I kinda lied to you before. This has been opened up. Turns out that this thermal compound is actually fairly fresh. I don't know what's going on with the board here, but it looks like whatever they did not clean it off. It looks like they used WD-40 on this and didn't clean off around the board and totally singed it. So I don't know if this repair is actually going to work or not, but we're going to go along with it just to show you. And if it works, yay. If not, then oh well. I'll just get another Xbox I did it to and show it at the end of this video to prove that it works, as long as you don't fuck it up the first time. So simply just take some isopropyl alcohol and wipe off this excess thermal compound. So I'm going to wipe it off here. You want to make sure you get all of it off, because you don't want any old thermal compound on there. Plus, this thermal compound on here right now is actually Arctic Silver 5, and it doesn't go too well with ceramic. So that's another reason why you want to make sure you get all of this off. Alright, so I'm going to take a little bit of a break because I'm hungry and my camera battery is almost dead, so I want to get the whole implement of the heat treatment on the board. So yeah, I'm going to come back. I'm going to show you how to clean the heat sinks after I eat and get something to drink, and let my camera battery charge a little bit. So yeah, alright. Alrighty, so I'm back, and here's where we're going to implement another tool. You're going to need a heat gun. This is a heat gun. That's what it looks like. I like to call it the man dryer for your manly needs. And basically this is the process that we're going to do. we're going to preheat the board. So basically we're going to be going like this for about 2 to 4 minutes. I usually do about 2.5, 3 minutes, something like that. And then we're going to focus on the CPU and GPU. I'll heat about this high off the board, count to 10 on one, and I'll do 10 on the other, and then back to 10 on this one for about 5 minutes, and then do this process, which is basically heating the board up to an equalized amount of heat so that it cools evenly. So let's kick this on and get started, and let's do it. Wait till it gets a little hot, and then start preheating the board. Alright, getting towards the end here, and just pretty much raising the heat gun a little bit off the board, a little higher, and just grazing it with the heat. And now you can kick it off, and be careful where you put the heat gun and where you point it, because if you have a high voltage one, it will actually catch something on fire if you point it towards it. So be very careful on where you place it, and place it somewhere where you're not going to touch it, because it is very hot, so be very careful. If you hold your hand over the board, you'll be able to feel heat radiating from the board from about this high. Even from here, my hand is well 4 inches off the board. That's what you want. It's what you want. You want it to be heated. So now we have to wait for the board to cool down. I'd say let it sit for about an hour to an hour and a half. You want to make sure the board is totally cooled off before you touch it. So don't touch it now, don't move it, don't do anything, because what we've done is we've heated up the board to where all the solder has been reset on the board. So anything that was wrong with this board is now fixed because the solder is in the right connection part. Mostly because of the GPU and CPU. This is what our main focus is for the 3 red ring. But anything else, like the E74 1 red ring and things like that, it's usually components like around here, or the power supply sometimes. It can also be the video, also memory units and things like that, or one of these transistors or transformers or whatever. So it can be a lot of things. So E74, we heat the whole board, focus on the CPU and GPU for about 5 minutes, and then preheat the board again, or reheat the board for another 2 minutes, then gradually take the heat off and let it cool. And if you touch the processors, you will get burned, so don't touch the processors or anything. And simply about that, just let it sit and cool for about an hour and a half to 2 hours, something like that, and make sure everything is all set. And when about an hour and a half or 2 hours is up, just feel over the processors, and if there's no heat radiating off it, or just touch the processor a little bit, don't move the board, just tap your finger on the processor and hold it there after like an hour or an hour and a half, 2 hours, however long you want to wait. And if it's cool, you're all set to go. So let's wait for this to cool down. Alright guys, so now that the board has finally cooled down, it's time to put the thermal compound to work. Got to put thermal compound here, here, and on this processor. Alright, so now it's time to apply the thermal compound. Now you don't need much, you just want to make the layer on top of the silver part here of the processor chip, which is to connect to the heat sinks. So you don't need much, you just need a little dab, about that much. And this one you literally just have to do that. And over here, do about the same thing. And then you just spread that out. And the tool of usage here, I would like to say, is I like to use a guitar pick. So let me just grab this handy dandy guitar pick here that I have for applying my thermal compound, then I'm just going to spread this around top on the processor chip like this. Now, let's go to our heat sinks. Okay, so here are the heat sinks right here, and simply we're going to want to clean that off with isopropyl. Now, I don't have any more cotton balls, so I'm going to have to use some tissues here. So, cotton tissues, whatnot. Same fucking principle, I don't really care. So I'm just going to take some isopropyl and get that off of there. Again, if the isopropyl doesn't take it off, use some WD-40 and let it sit in there, but remember, be sure to wipe off afterwards with isopropyl to get the residue of the WD-40 off, because we do not want that on the inside of the Xbox when the Xbox is running. Alright, so now it's time to reattach the heat sinks with the X clamps and the braces and everything. So let's get that going first. First one that I like to do is the totally square one here. Makes life a little easy. So we're going to pop this into place. Now you will see on the board that this is labeled with a etched out square. The bigger one is for the longer heatsink, obviously, and the square one's for the square one. So the square one's going to go on the right. This is the back of the Xbox. Power, video, Ethernet, USB. I'm going to take this heatsink and pop it on top of that like so, and flip the board right over onto the heatsink. Now you're going to take one of your handy dandy X clamps that you have taken off before, and you're going to need your pry tool and maybe a smaller flathead screwdriver. So what we're going to do is we're going to simply place a 1 on, and we're going to place 2 on. Once we get the 2 on, you're going to press down on the 3rd one, and using a flathead screwdriver, a really small one, pry this back into place. So what you want to kind of do is just leave yourself a gap down in there and just pry it down in place. Push down on the other one and pry that one down into place. And there you go, that's one heatsink. Now, when you put this back into the board, the screws that go into the X clamps are what are going to compress the X clamps and hold the pressure. So you don't need to bend the X clamps back or anything, you just need to screw it nice and tight and you'll be all set. So I'm going to put the other heatsink on now, so I'm just going to flip this back over, like so. And I'm going to prepare the other heatsink. And I'm going to grab, actually, an axe can, because this is my third-party tool of choice, the axe can, so I can rest it on the heatsink here. And as you can see, I can now press down on it and put the other X clamp on. So I'm gonna press down on it here, pop in the X clamp that's next to the other one, so the 2 sides that are next to the other one, like that, and I'm just gonna push down on this and wedge it on in there, pry with the flathead, make sure it clicks, you don't want it popping out. Do the same thing with this one. So get it down into position. And once you get it like halfway, it gets pretty easy. There you go, the X clamps are back into position, along with the heat sinks. So the heat sinks are in place. Alright, so here's the bottom of the Xbox. And we're going to take the board here, and I'm going to show you. This section here goes to the fan. You will see the plug for the fan. This is the back of the Xbox. What you're going to want to do is simply slide the back down on an angle like this. Take the cord and move it out the way for the fan. Slide it on in and push down. So slide the back in first and then push the front down afterwards. Plug your fans in. And there we have it. The board is in place. Now it's time to put the ventilation back. The ventilation is this little white piece right here. Simply just goes like this. This part goes over the square heatsink. The lower part is for support for the disk drive and goes over the lower heatsink. Pop that into place like so. It'll click right in, nice and easy. Now it's time for the disk drive. Now you're going to notice that we're putting this together in a different order. I will explain why in a moment. The disk drive, simply just plug the power in first. So let's put the power plug in there like so. And let's take the SATA and plug the SATA in. And then just rest the drive on down into the Xbox. And it should go down no problem. Now, here's the part that's going to be kind of crucial. We're going to screw the motherboard back into place. So what I want you to do now, to make life easy for us, is this is the top portion of the Xbox. Well, technically the top. So, we're going to flip this over like this, right? I'm going to place that on, just like this. Give it a nice little smack. There goes the heat gun. And then flip this over. Now the reason why I had you put this on for placement is because you don't want anything falling out when you're screwing something in, because then the screws are going wrong and they might get stripped. So first things first is the little screws. Now you may have noticed in the beginning of this video on how I marked these 6. These 6 we will not be screwing in, just because that would lock that into place, and I still have stuff to hook up. So, yeah. Anyways, so here we go with the first section. So basically we're just going to be screwing these 1, 2, 3, and then 4, 5 over here, 6, 7, and then 8 and 9, and the X clamp screws. Now when you do the X clamp screws, I'll use this for an example right now, you want to do it diagonally. You don't want to do it one at a time. You don't want to go like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and you know, like that. You want to go on angles. So do the corners first. So basically just screw this on in like this. Make sure it's good and tight. And then for the next one, do this corner. So we'll do this corner here. Make sure it's good and tight, nice and snug, because you want those X clamps to compress. Then I'll go ahead and do this one, which is right next to this one. I do this the same way every single time, or you know, maybe reversed, where I would start with this one, do this one, and that one, and then finally do this one across from that, and then repeat the process, only kind of mirrored. So, and also make sure they are good and tight. So we're going to screw in the rest of these X clamp screws, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And those are the smaller screws that we're putting in right now. So go ahead and do that, and I will be right back. Alright, so now that you got those screws in, it's time for you to realize what the fuck I was talking about when I wanted you to do it this way. So flip this back over, and now you're going to take the top panel back off. So just slide the top panel off like that. This is what I did this for, and this is the reason why I did this. Now, remember the front panel on how it had to plug in down here? Well, if you don't screw it in, it's going to be near impossible to get it in without having to dick around with it. And I don't like having to dick around, so simply just take that front panel and slide that right into place, nice and easy. Now you're going to take your T8 Tork and put those 3 screws in. Now again, I'm pretty sure it's a T8, but if it's not, I apologize, but I didn't exactly mark the damn sizes on the screwdrivers. So you're going to screw these 3 in, like so, not hard. I think my dog could probably do this. I don't even have a dog. It's really hot in my room. It's like 90 degrees in here. I'm not even joking, because I've been like running a heat gun all night and filming and doing tutorial videos and shit, so having a lot of fun with this. Alright, so now you're going to take the button, this piece, and you're going to notice that there are arrows on it. The arrows pointing up, that means the top, so simply just click the bottom into place and click that right into place. Now put the top panel back on the Xbox. So So you can pop the top panel back on. Nice and easy it goes on. And before you forget, take the button for the disk drive and pop that back on as well. There you go. And make sure that the little leg on the bottom goes into place at the bottom of the disk drive. Flip this on over. And now it's time to put the big screws in. So we'll do one, and we're going to do 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Just like that. Take the T10 Tork drive and screw those on in there. Just like that. Make sure they're good and tight. And go diagonally, like on the X clamps, when you tighten these. So, like, you know, corners to corner. It's not really diagonally, but works for me. Okay. Now it's time for the moment of me leaving my watermark. So, here we go. D3AHRAIN333. That's me. That's who fixed this fucking Xbox. I don't want to hear it. So, first things first. We want to pop the front on first. So you're going to take the front, and this is the thing that has the nice little lips, the lip and tongue groove shit. And that's just going to pop right down on in there. So just give it a nice little smack, and it'll go right in. Coming around to the back side. Now this, make sure this part goes underneath the top of the Xbox, and you close it, and then you press on it. So press right on in while you're closing the Xbox, and it'll shut the way it should. So now that's all shut, nice, fine, and dandy. Now, time to put the paneling back on. Let's grab the hard drive paneling. Just pop this on real quick. This is pretty basic. I don't even really think I need to film this unless you're obviously retarded. Pop that on. And I'll pop this one on. Flip this around. And let's put the front panel back on. So I'm just going to take the front panel, pop it right on into place just like that. Let's go test out the Xbox. Alright, so here's the Xbox here. And at the beginning of this video, there was probably a different faceplate on this, and I actually get confused with faceplates. I got so many laying around. So this is the same Xbox that we've taken apart. And now the final test to see if it worked. Let's turn it on. No more red ring. Disk drive is all checked out. And in case you think I'm lying, I'm not even going to pause the video or skip it. There's a TV, there's the Xbox profiles. So, heat treatment to the board and thermal compound, reflowed, and new thermal compound. I just said that twice, I don't know why. It's really hot in my room, I think I'm having heat stroke. But yeah, so there you go. You have now fixed your Xbox 360 without having to ship it out to Microsoft and having to wait 6 to fucking 9 million years. So yeah, thanks for watching my video. Rate, comment, and subscribe to my channel. There will be more videos like this for Xbox tutorials as well as PS3, as you may have noticed. Red Ring of Death fix. This is what it was, and this is what it always will be. Robbie Paps, the one you all love for your electronic needs, software or hardware issues, come to my channel and I guarantee you I can help you out. Leave me a message, post me comments with recommendations of what you would like to see on my channel. Rate, comment, subscribe, donate to my website that I'm trying to get up and running so I can put all my tutorials and downloads and everything on that website. I'll be very grateful for that. And yeah, so that's about it. So yeah, take it easy guys, enjoy your newly fixed Xbox, and I will see you guys later.